Good morning. I'm going to take a close look here at the KC-97L here, which was last week the Air Force Museum's Airplane of the Week. But before we start here, we need to come over here to learn kind of the origins of the KC-97L. So during World War II, the United States was developing heavy bombers, and the B-29 obviously was the ultimate World War II heavy bomber, but this aircraft here, the B-36 Peacemaker, was an aircraft that was under development during World War II because of a perceived need that the United States would need an intercontinental bomber to reach from bases in the United States all the way to Europe or Asia, because during the early part of the war it didn't look like England was going to be able to hold out, and there wasn't much hope for keeping bases in Europe. Now, the B-36 is a bomber with an incredible range and does have the intercontinental range that the United States Air Force needed. However, this bomber was not produced early enough in the war to actually partake in World War II, and it became one of the mainstays of the SAC fleet in the early Cold War. Now, because this aircraft had the intercontinental range that was required to strike its targets deep into Russia and in Europe, it didn't require air-to-air refueling. However, over here, right next to us, we have the first generation of operational jet bombers that was flown by the Air Force. And this is a B-47. Now, the B-47 was one of the aircraft that revolutionized bomber technology. However, due to the inefficiency of early jet engines, it had a limited service range and didn't have the legs like the B-36 did to reach intercontinental targets. So, thus arrives the need to find some solution to refuel aircraft, preferably air-to-air refueling, so that the aircraft didn't have to land and take care of that. So, that brings us to the question that the answer, or that the KC-97 provided the answer to. Now, the C-97, you can sort of see it. If I stop jumbling the camera around here, you can sort of see it, its resemblance to its older cousin, the B-29, which it was a development of. Now, the C-97 was originally developed in 1944 as a cargo variant of the B-29, and you can see some of the similarities in the design, and especially in the tail and the wings. Now, the engines are upgraded from the B-29, the reciprocating engines, I should say. KC-97 also has jet engines, but I'll get to that in a minute. So let's get around the Sabre here. So here's the front side of the KC-97. Now, like I was saying, the C-97 was a derivative of the Boeing B-29, and if you can see on the side over here, it's not very evident, but there is a cargo door here on the upper deck of the right side of the aircraft, But in the late 40s, like I was saying, the need was seen for an air-to-air refueling capability. And so what they did was they created an air-to-air refueling system that could be used, the KC-97. And this system is one that is still flying today on the KC-135s and other air refueling aircraft of the United States Air Force. And we'll come around here to the back. I'll just see what I'm talking about. So the C-97s were modified with a flying boom, here you can see at the back, that allowed them to refuel other aircraft air to air. And so here we have the boom and the refueling probe at the end. Like I said, this flying boom configuration is still what the United States Air Force uses as their air-to-air refueling technology of choice. So the C-97, some of the C-97s were modified, but a lot of them were purpose-built. More were purpose-built, in fact, as KC-97s, as the tanker variant, then were built solely as the cargo variant. So it gives you some idea of the pressing need for this technology. Now, if you can see here, let me get on the other side of the engine, under the wing here. So you can see that the C-97 and the KC-97 have kind of a double lobe fuselage, and this is a double deck configuration. See windows here in the bottom and in the top. Now on the bottom deck here is all refueling, a couple refueling tanks and hardware for the refueling. And there's also fuel tanks on the main deck. And if you go to the Air Force Museum website, there is a virtual tour of the inside of this aircraft, and you can see the fuel tanks that were installed on the main cargo deck there. And also you can see their boom operator station here in the rear. But so that's interesting if you want to see the inside here, but I'll keep talking about it from the outside. In the mid-60s, as fighter technology, for example this F-104 here, progressed, the C-97, the KC-97s, were not as able to keep pace speed-wise with the faster aircraft, such as F-84 here. And in the mid-60s, or in the early 60s, the aircraft started to be phased out of their refueling role by the KC-135s. And the KC-135s were built off of the Boeing 707 airframes and were all jet refueling aircraft, and were better capable of matching the speed of the aircraft they were supposed to be refueling. However, the KC-97s were also still in use, and many of them were transferred to be used by Air National Guard units, such as this one, which served with the Ohio Air Guard. But because the aircraft they were refueling needed or had higher performance capabilities, there were some upgrades that needed to be made. So the KC-97s, a number of them were modified to put two turbojet engines under the wings, as you can see here. And those aircraft were designated KC-97L, and continued flying. The last one was retired by the Air Force in 1973, but many continued to fly with the Air Guard into the late 70s. So the turbojet engines allowed them to keep up a little bit better with the aircraft that they were supposed to be refueling. So this aircraft in particular has kind of a special name here. If you can see it over the front entrance door, there is a word written in kind of old German script. It says Zeppelinheim. Now in the late 60s, there was an operation that KC-97s took part in Europe, and it was called Operation Creek Party. Now this operation, refueling operation, lasted well into the 70s, but this particular aircraft served close to the Rhine am Main Air Base, and near there's a town called Zeppelinheim, and the mayor of that town christened this aircraft with the town's name. So that's where the name Zeppelinheim comes from for this aircraft. But there we go. That's about all I have to say about the KC-97. Hope you enjoyed my quick look here at this aircraft. It's one of my favorite in the museum. The first purpose-built air-to-air refueling aircraft, the United States Air Force.